tickets really cheaply, group charters or travel industry professionals. Low cost or no frill carriers have simplified their fare classes to only use a handful of cases. So an economy a passenger with a Y ticket will sit next to somebody with a W ticket, eat the same food and get the same service, but could have paid hundreds more for their ticket. If you're unsure of your flight dates, then a Y may work out cheaper than a W if you need to change your flight later on. Of course, there are always exceptions to everything, and perhaps you've seen a character in a TV or film show, maybe you saw the one with Simpsons with Bart flying around the world, that he flew as a courier to get cheap flight tickets. This can happen, does actually happen, but you need to be flexible with your date of departure, as well as your choice of destinations. And these aren't the only drawbacks. You may also lose your luggage allowance, and you may have to travel alone. And you'll also be restricted to major airport hubs. But if all that's okay with you, then you could save up to 85% on the price of a flight, just by carrying a small package for somebody through customs. A legitimate package for somebody, don't start becoming a drug mule. Courier companies use this method as it's quicker than using an air cargo, and sometimes it's also cheaper. There are two main methods to find these flights. The first is to register with a courier company such as the International Association of Air Travel Couriers. Of course, there's going to be a registration fee, and the second method is to do all the research yourself and then contact the couriers direct. You will need to leave a deposit with a courier before you leave, but as long as you deliver the package satisfactorily, then this will be refunded without any problems. Usually you would fly in economy, but it may be possible for an upgrade. Generally, the closer to departure, the cheaper the ticket, and if you are representing the company, you are expected to dress smartly. And so you could go to a website such as Air Courier International for more details. Not tried it yet, because I don't want to travel without my wife, but you never know, one day I might give it a try. If you have flown as a courier, then please do share your experience at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on ukhealthradio.com. So you booked your ticket, and you know your departure dates and arrival airports and departure airports and everything. But what's the best way of printing your e-ticket? Well, some companies use third-party websites to do this, and in fact some travel agents use it anyway. These websites are provided by the airline's global distribution service provider. And it's a computer system which is used to store and retrieve information to conduct flight booking transactions. And this sort of system can give you the information you need to know, like which terminal you're arriving at, if somebody's going to wait to pick you up, and which terminal you're departing from when you leave. All you need to log in is the lead surname and the reservation number. The reservation number is not always obvious, so you do need to look around the receipt you got from the airline, because it could be different to the main receipt number. But it should be there somewhere. And once you're logged in, you're presented with information such as, terminal, the seat, the meal, the distance flown, how long it should take, and sometimes you can add your hotel and car hire details. And this can be printed out and handed or emailed to members of your group, so everything's nice and easily presented. With minimum effort to use, you don't have to get into Word or whatever to do it. You just go into this website and it's all there for you. And there could be other tools on the site to assist you with your trip, such as visa advice and some maps. And some examples are Check My Trip and My Trip and More. But there's also websites which are not connected to airlines in any way, such as TripIt. And a TripIt is a website that helps travellers put an itinerary together, stored online for your own use, or you can share it with others. They should never ever share your travel details with anybody. So you can include maps, directions, weather, your flight details. Just about everything you need to know for your holiday can be put in this, and you can present yourself a nice little professional looking itinerary, just like if you'd use a travel agent. And there are also mobile apps that can access your trip with your smartphone. And these are very useful for group trips, because anybody in the group can access the information. Just need the reservation number, reservation number, and the surname of the person who booked it. And it's all there. It saves a lot of faffing about with emails and whatnot. So do check out if you can access a website such as My Trip and More and Check My Trip. And if you can't, then look at TripIt, give that a go. So you bought your cheap ticket and you arrived at the airport. This is the wrong time to find out what you can and you can't take on board. You may have to bin all those cheap drinks you bought with you for the journey. Even if shops before security, you can't take them through. And your excess baggage charges may be triple the price of your flight. Regular travellers will tend to be used to seeing bins full of drink bottles near security gates and watching people frantically switching clothes between cases to try and get within their limits. Luggage allowance is rarely taken into consideration when buying a ticket. You should pay it more attention, because even a slight increase to cost between airlines may be worthwhile for you to fly with somebody else, so you can just take the extra frock with you. So always take into account luggage allowances, because it could be 15 kilograms, could be 20, could be 22. Don't just go on the price. Check out your luggage too. And also, you need to know the hand luggage allowances as well, and what you can and can't take through security. I go to Luton a lot, as I always mention, and the amount of people, even now, which is 6 or 7 years after the rules came into play, still try and get their perfumes and liquids through. It's getting more confusing, because some machines do allow you to take drinks and stuff through, but some don't, and not every airport's got them. So the best plan is just to prepare for the worst and don't take anything which could end up in a bin before you get through to your flight. So hand luggage is the luggage you can take on board with you, and since 9/11 and the shoe bomb in 2001, there have been regular changes of what you can and can't take on board with you. All items that are no longer allowed to travel with passengers must be checked into the hold, and the number of bags allowed also changes depending on security alerts and airline policy. And a typical maximum weight limit for hand luggage is 5 kilograms. Governments set the maximum allowances, but some airlines may not allow you to take that much on board. A maximum bag size may be smaller, for example. Finding the right allowance involves cross-referencing the advice given on airport websites and the limits set by the airlines themselves. Anything that's not allowed on board must either be disposed of or placed in checked luggage. If you're at security when the item is rejected, then to check the item may mean going back out to the check-in desk, which may mean paying excess baggage fees and having to get a new boarding pass printed and then having to queue again. And it's a lot of messing around. So don't just check the restrictions for the outgoing flight, check the rules for the inbound flight, because it may be different when you leave the country you're visiting. So travelling with liquids, the 100 millilitre rule. Why is 100 millilitres? Nobody will tell us. It's a need-to-know basis, and apparently nobody needs to know. So which means that only limited quantities of liquids may be carried through security, and this includes bottled drinks, suntan lotions, fragrances, cosmetics and toiletries. And the following restrictions apply to all liquids, gels and pastes and aerosols taken through security control, although, as I said, some machinery has been updated, so you need to check with your airport to make sure that what is actually valid or not. So liquid items may be carried in containers holding up to 100 millilitres. They must be carried separately from the rest of the luggage, so the liquids must be separate from the rest of the luggage in a single transparent resealable plastic bag, which can be no larger than 20 by 20 centimetres or 8 by 8 inches. And all the items must fit inside so the bag can close properly. And these bags must be placed separately on the conveyor belt for screening. If you have to take more than 100 millilitres, then it should be packed in your hold luggage, otherwise it will be disposed of. There can be some exceptions to the 100 millilitre rule, such as baby food and milk. However, you should only carry what you need for the flight, and you may be asked to taste at least 50% of the containers at security control. Exceptions may also be made for medicines. However, you may be asked to taste any liquid or medicine and provide evidence, such as a doctor's letter, that you need them for your journey on the flight. However, anything you buy after security control can be taken on board the aircraft, including all the stuff you had to dump before you can get through, so you can get bottled drinks, fragrances, cosmetics, all over 100 millilitre. And I don't understand why the X-ray machines for the shops allows these things through, but the X-ray machines for passengers doesn't. As I say, it's a need-to-know basis, and none of us need to know. And if you're catching a connecting flight, you may need to ask the store staff to put your purchases in a specially sealed bag. Because here's a story about people who got diverted on a flight back, I think it's from Greece. They were going to Belfast, but they had to divert to Swansea or Cardiff, something like that. All had to get out through security. So they come out with all the liquids they bought as duty free when they were leaving. And then they weren't allowed to take it back on the airplane to continue on to where they're meant to be going because of security rules. So you do need to be careful. So if you're connecting and you're self-connecting, so you're not going through transit, so you have to go out, get your luggage and then go back in again. You may have to put everything you bought when you left the original airport into your suitcase before checking in again and catching the second flight. Do be very careful. You don't want to lose anything you bought presents-wise. So make sure you know exactly the procedures between A, B to C, so you know what's going to happen. And if you're in any doubt, just put it in checked luggage to start off with, and then then there's a problem solved. You can follow me on Twitter at holiday_hut. So I'm talking about luggage at the moment when you book your flights. And checked baggage usually means your suitcase. And it could be included in the ticket price, but this is no longer always the case. No frill airlines try to encourage passengers to only take hand luggage, which means the aircraft is lighter, they use less fuel, and the airplane can be turned around quicker because there's less baggage to shift when they get to the other end. Passengers are also encouraged by the fact that the checked or hold luggage can now be such an extra cost. And charter and scheduled airlines are starting to follow suit by either reducing the allowances or charging separately for the baggage. And there are two types of systems used by airlines. The one you're probably most familiar with is the weight system. And the weight you can carry is determined by your class. It means you get one case up to a maximum weight ranging between 15 and 23 kilograms for economy passengers. If you go over that allowance, you'll be charged excess baggage. There'll also be a size allowance as well, sometimes given as height times width times depth, or maybe given by X, where X equals height plus width plus depth. So you need to understand what the restrictions are there too. And sometimes you are given a limit which also includes your hand luggage. For example, for when I wrote this together last year, the current weight limit for a Thomson Fly Premium seat is 30 kilograms, but that includes 7 kilograms for your hand luggage. And if your suitcase is more than 23 kilograms, then you will be charged more. So you see 30 kilograms, but it's not for your case. It's for your case and your hand luggage. And excess is only allowed if there's actually room on board the aircraft, so don't just assume that you can go over your allowance and still take it on board. There's also a maximum allowed weight per item for health and safety reasons, which is 32 kilograms. And there could be a maximum size limit too, so you need to check with your airline before you book your ticket. Excess used to be between 1 and 1.5% of the highest one-way adult economy ticket per kilogram. Now, different airlines have their own systems in place. For example, BA has a set price of £30 or $50 per bag, and some airlines allow you to pull your weight together when travelling, but others, such as Ryanair, do not. So you can't say, okay, yeah, I'm 2 kilograms over here, but this guy's 2 kilograms under. Is that okay? And it's now easier for some airlines to take extra suitcases, and this will be cheaper to book online, so don't leave it until check-in. So, for example, with Virgin Atlantic, each extra bag can cost you up to 3 times as much as to check it in at check-in than if you do it online. You can get called out too. I mean, EasyJet allows 8 pieces of checked baggage, or used to allow 8 pieces of checked baggage, but they can only add up to 20 kilograms in total. Some customers pay more for cases, believe each one can be an extra 20 kilograms, but this isn't the case, and you have to pay extra for the new combined weight. And an American travel writer got caught out on this, and he was less than happy with the experience when he wrote about it. Let's put it that way. And the second system is a piece system, where you're allowed a number of bags. There are still weight and size limits, although the piece system makes life easier if you're travelling with sporting equipment such as skis and golf bags, because these are included as one bag, depending on their weight and dimensions. The Americans use a piece system, so if you're flying to Australia from London to Sydney going eastwards, you'll be having the weight system. But if you book the ticket so you're going westwards, so you fly to LA and then get a connection from LA and go to Sydney, you might be able to get 2 suitcases with a piece system. So again, when you're booking your flights, you need to know what the luggage allowances are, and flying one direction and the other could be more advantageous to you than one you would automatically assume. But do take infants without seats do not always have the same allowance with children with seats. If you're flying on a code share ticket, such as you buy a BA ticket but you're actually flying with Qantas, then the baggage limit is sent by Qantas, not by BA. And check with your airline if you want to take unusual luggage such as sporting equipment or mobility scooters, as well as size and weight restrictions. There may also be specific packing instructions. And do take care when tracking your allowance. For example, standard BA economy, before they start mucking about with it, 1 bag at maximum 23. If you have a limited mobility BA, then allow you 2 bags, but the maximum weight is still 23 kilograms and doesn't include wheelchairs. And if you're flying out for your wedding, you can't fit your dress in the hand luggage, consider shipping your clothes and dress separately. It may be more expensive, but there's less chance of your dress going to the wrong airport, being left behind, or getting damaged